believe what a beautiful day it's turned out to be. Oh my god, guys, can't believe it. I'm sorry, I'm going absolutely ecstatic. I was waiting for England to leave the World Cup and we got 2-1.
Hi guys, so I've decided to do a voiceover over this because everything I talked about was not what I wanted to talk about. I was just batting on about the heatwave, and that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the backing of horses. Now, a recent vlogger I watched the other day just made the comment that when you have the ability to, when you're producing a horse and when you have the ability to hack that horse everywhere, it just transforms the way that that horse is backed, the way that that horse is produced. Now, I'm not going to say who this vlogger was, but basically what they were saying was that when you have access to and make the most of tremendous hacking, it just makes such a difference to the way that that horse is produced. Now, I've seen so many people supposedly back a horse, and I think the only person that I have come across that really knows what she's doing is Emma Massingale. I recently watched a video of hers where she took her young stallion out. She was in the process of backing him, and she took him out on, I think, just on a long lead rope. So think about what that involves. What does that actually involve? It just sounds all very easy when you say it. It involves trailering that horse up or loading it up in something, taking it to a location, and that's exactly what she did. She took her dogs and other animals with her, and she introduced it to ditches. She had it jumping over ditches on a extra long lead rope with water going underneath it. It was introduced to vehicles, birds, other animals. Now the next step is to do that with you on its back. But think about what that does. For that is what I call backing a horse, like truly introducing it to the world.
The only thing I would say is this, that before Beau came to me, up until the age of 9, he basically spent most of his life living out. So I think the more you keep them out, the more you can toughen them up. But there comes a point where when you're dealing with Lara, it was more a case of she needed to get used to the grass, and then obviously her youth kicked in after that. And obviously with Beau, it's his age. It's as simple as that. And I think it's important to keep working them. I'm speaking for myself because I think it helps his respiratory system. He's a hog day, I've never mentioned that, so that means he's got extra respiratory problems. And I think that, you know, if you work during the mid-heat, don't do anything. But, you know, while the temperatures are reasonable, you know, probably better to, because otherwise I could just go on and on and on about it. I could start talking about my cats. I just quickly want to mention the World Cup. So guys, they're through to playing Mexico, and I've got to say it, because the stadium is that many thousand feet above sea level. Without a fact, the Mexican team, I've got to say this, they've got a genetic advantage, because anybody that lives in a mountainous region is their oxygen, I was reading all about this, their oxygen ability to use their oxygen and everything, this and that, is far superior to people that live on sea level. So it's really sad. They're at a massive disadvantage. Sorry guys, I gotta say that.
Guys, I just want to apologise for the GoPro ride that's about to come up. I'm just really gutted. The whole thing had rain splashes on the camera and it's just made it look a bit dark and dingy, so I'm really glad that I put bright pink on Lara, because you could see us in the darkness. Really sorry. Because it was cut recently. It's got a few mounds that we've got to sort of go over. Guys, I want to talk about the World Cup. 1 o'clock in the morning. Our guys are at such a disadvantage. I'm gutted that stadium is so many meters above sea level. Guys, I've been too scared to take her up that grass verge, that measly little grass verge, but I decided I've got to get over that. I tell you why. On that verge, she knows how little space she's got, and boy does she make the most of it. She erupts into the massivest flyback. We're talking like a metre, and she did that the other day. And I literally thought I'm coming off. And it's just, Lara on grass is really, really explosive in a way that she's not on sand. Guys, I hate it when it rains, like hard. That's just too British for me. I love drizzle. It makes me think more of the continent and other places. On the subject of things that are too British, I think that the greatest equestrian sport in the world is the pentathlon, because it doesn't involve shattering the horse. So it involves swimming, running, cycling, fencing and shooting, which lowers your heart rate, the ability to lower your heart rate, and of course equestrian show jumping. Why do I love it? Because I don't think it's any great feat in the traditional equestrian sports to be able to get on a horse that you have sat on 1,000,000 times before and go and practice a manoeuvre that you've practiced 1,000,000 times before. To me,
all that spells is the smelly stink of money. Money, money, money. And no, I'm not bitter, guys. So one of the reasons I love football is top level football is. I know the footballers get stick for the amount they earn. But how many of those players have emerged from the depths of poverty? There's a lot of cows here. I should focus on that, but I'm going to carry on. How many of them have been talent scouted? When have you ever heard a top level equestrian sport, right? So I'm not talking about anything American or barrel racing or anything like that. I'm talking strictly show jumping at the top level, dressage and cross eventing. When have you ever heard some kid that lives on a council estate that goes to riding school, that is an exceptional rider, has been talent scouted, talent spotted and reached the top levels? Never. It's all about having reams and reams and reams of money. That's why I like the pentathlon. Now I know it got a lot of flack because some girl went in there one year and she was kicking and screaming and the horse wouldn't do anything. But what equestrian sport hasn't got a horror story? Top level dressage, bleeding mouths, show jumping, like some of the things that these show jumpers have done. So it's all about, and the ability to get on a horse that you've never sat on before and take it around a modest course, you know, I don't know, meter 10, modest for an athlete. Now that's true horsemanship. Whereas to simply, I'm only going to repeat myself. The farmer's wife is there and I'm a bit embarrassed. I hope she doesn't hurt me. Anyway, we went past all those cows again, and I'm just going to film it all. Yeah, the farmer's family was there and I felt a bit embarrassed because I was talking loudly, and it appears to myself. Yes, it appears to myself. So one thing I really hate about sport is the advantages and not playing on a level playing field. So I don't mean that literally. So I remember when we used to go show jumping. I remember when I used to go with the person I used to go with, I just made a comment. I used to compete at this, it's actually an international arena called North Coast Stud. And like 3/4 of the horses would be running out all at the same fence, they'd spook at the same fence, everybody would come off at the same fence. And I remember once I made this comment, how come there'd be a small group that would just go around beautifully? They wouldn't jump any better, they would go around better. And I just made a comment, oh, it's almost as if they know the arena inside out, and they know everything and they know where everything is and nothing bothers them. And the person I was with said it's because they do know it inside out. And I remember saying, oh, what, they do lots of arena hires there? And the reply was, no, their livery's there. And I just thought, oh. And ever since then I've always thought, well, I think that everything should be done on a neutral ground. I think that they should be out of, this is going to sound really bad, I don't think they should be allowed to compete. I know, it sounds terrible. Or if they do, it should just be for fun, not to actually gain a place. So I think I feel the same about every sport. Specifically, for example, like, you know, when it's an away game and a home game and you're going to win because you're at home, that's a massive advantage. So now, England are up against a team which has throughout its life lived in a region which has got very thin air, and you've got a stadium which is so much higher than sea level, I personally believe that's not a level playing field, and I don't like to win things because I've got a massive advantage over the person that I've competed against. In fact, I get a real buzz if I'm better than somebody who's got huge advantages that I haven't got. So the England team getting booed on that by Mexicans, I just think that's really bad showmanship. We went past all these cows, and I know there's loads of football fans that don't agree with me. They say, shut up, England, get on with it. But no, it's absolutely true. So yeah, it's true. And you just think, well, they're losing because their oxygen levels are dwindling, because the air is so thin, not because the other team is better, but because of the huge advantage. Anyway, let's forget that. Yep, on in a minute. We're approaching that hill. What shall we do? Have a trot or a canter, or shall I let you decide? Hey? Directly over to my left, there are tons and tons of, because literally the worst thing I could do is turn her to face them. I really do think that. I think just continuing to walk is much better, because it's like telling her, look at this. Okay, I'll try and do it. I'm going to twist. So they stood there now, but they sort of came running over. I'm letting her stop because I haven't encouraged her to. She's just... These are so... Well, I was going to say ugly. Poor things. I shouldn't say that. I think we all know where they're going to end up. And Lara's getting eaten by horseflies. I won't ride her in a fly rug. It's too warm. She sweats. I just refuse to ride her in one of them. Okay, let's get off. Guys, I cannot believe what I witnessed last night. England truly played like a utter world-class team. I thought I'm just going to fall asleep. That's what I thought. They had everything. England had everything you could imagine against them. The altitude, the stadium, every time they had possession of the ball, Mexico was just booing. They were like, doing fireworks and stuff outside their hotel room till, I don't know, like 2 o'clock. And those guys, I cannot believe it. They were an utter class act. And I was expecting Mexico to do a really, really physical game. Because let's be honest, guys, our lads, they're not into all that dirty tactics that we know that the South American men teams are. I honestly thought England are going to get slaughtered because of the dirty tactics England don't employ. But they pulled it out of the bag, and honest to God, I was wide awake and I could not believe it. The cats, they were like running about. They couldn't understand why I'm awake at that time.